The lottery ticket stayed in my coat pocket for most of the afternoon. I had checked the numbers 3 times before believing them, once on the television, once on my phone, once again at the convenience store where I bought the ticket. $95 million. The clerk had stared at me with the same wide look people get when they're trying to decide whether something is real or a mistake. I walked home slowly that day. Not because I felt old, though I suppose I am, but because I kept imagining my daughter's face when I told her. Claire had always been practical. Even as a child, she approached things with a kind of seriousness that made adults nod approvingly. When she grew up, that seriousness turned into efficiency. Bills paid early. Schedules planned months ahead. Problems solved quickly. Sometimes I wondered if I had raised her too well. Lately, though, there had been a distance in the way she spoke to me. Not unkind. Just organized. Like I was another responsibility she managed alongside work deadlines and mortgage payments. I thought the lottery news might change that, not because of the money itself, but because maybe, just maybe, she would see me differently. I reached the front door around 5. The house smelled faintly like garlic and onions, which meant Claire had started dinner already. Her voice drifted from the kitchen. She was on the phone. I slipped off my coat and began walking down the hallway, the ticket still folded neatly inside the pocket. I could already picture the moment. I would walk in, hold the ticket up casually. "Claire," I'd say, "you might want to sit down." But when I reached the doorway, I stopped. Her voice had changed. It had the tone she used when she was solving a problem at work. "The nursing home is cheaper," she said. I stood still. "We sell Mom's house, clear about $760,000, she continued. "That covers most of it." There was a pause while the person on the other end spoke. Claire leaned one hand on the counter. "I know it sounds harsh," she said, "but we have to think long term." The ticket in my pocket suddenly felt heavier. "She's already struggling with the stairs," Claire added. "And honestly, the house is just sitting there as an asset." Another pause. "Exactly," she said. "We'll simplify things now, before it becomes a crisis." I didn't move. Not because I was shocked. Because I was listening carefully, the way you do when someone accidentally reveals how they truly see you. Claire wasn't angry. She wasn't even frustrated. She sounded efficient, practical. Like she was discussing a piece of property that required maintenance. I stepped backward quietly before she could notice me standing there. The hallway felt longer on the way back to the living room. I sat down in my chair and stared at the television without turning it on. For several minutes, I simply held the ticket in my hand. $95 million. An hour earlier, it had felt like a gift I couldn't wait to share. Now it felt like information I needed to think about. Dinner was normal that night. Claire asked how my afternoon walk had been. She talked about a meeting she had at work. She asked if I remembered to take my blood pressure medication. Her voice was gentle, concerned, even, but the conversation from the kitchen sat quietly in the back of my mind. 2 days later, I made an appointment with a financial advisor. The office was downtown, on the 12th floor of a building that smelled faintly of polished wood and new carpet. The advisor, a man named Mr. Levinson, listened carefully as I explained the situation. He didn't react dramatically when I told him about the lottery ticket. Professionals rarely do. Instead, he asked questions. What did I want my life to look like now? Did I intend to remain in my home? Did I want to create financial support for family members? I thought about Claire as he spoke. About the tone of her voice in the kitchen, about the way she had reduced my life to numbers. "I'd like to remain independent," I said finally. Mr. Levinson nodded. "That's a very reasonable goal." Over the next several weeks we built a structure around the money. Trusts, investment accounts, long-term care arrangements managed through independent professionals. Everything documented carefully by attorneys. The house stayed in my name. A fund was established to maintain it indefinitely. Claire wasn't excluded from my will. But the system ensured that no one, not even family, could make financial decisions on my behalf. The lottery money didn't remove my daughter from my life. It simply removed the need for her to manage it. A month later, Claire brought up the subject again. We were sitting in the kitchen after dinner. "I've been thinking about the future," she said. I nodded. "You know, the house, your care eventually, all of that." Her tone was careful, rehearsed. "I actually met with some professionals recently," I said. Claire looked up. "You did?"
Yes.
I placed a folder on the table. Inside were the documents Mr. Levinson had prepared. Claire opened it slowly. Her eyes moved across the pages. Trust agreements, property structures, independent care management contracts. The room stayed quiet while she read. "You handled all of this already?" she asked.
Yes.
"But why didn't you tell me?" I considered that question carefully. "I realized something," I said. "What?" "That you were trying to solve a problem." Claire frowned slightly. "I was trying to help." "I know," I said gently. The silence stretched between us. Eventually she closed the folder. "So the house isn't being sold?" "No." "And the care arrangements? Already secured?" Claire leaned back in her chair. For the first time in a long while she looked uncertain. Not upset, just surprised. That night I went upstairs and placed the lottery ticket inside a small safe. I still haven't told Claire the full amount. Maybe I will someday. But the money turned out not to be the thing that mattered most. The real prize was something quieter. The moment I realized I didn't need $95 million to earn my daughter's pride. I only needed enough independence to keep my dignity.